It has been a year since I went to Wuhan to report on the outbreak in January. I would say this pandemic has changed China and the whole world dramatically.
1 year has passed since I went to Wuhan, but I still can't forget many things that happened there during the days in lockdown.
1月18日是中国南方传统小年。
除我现在所在的这个大礼堂以外，今天还有9个分会场，有4万多名的这个社区居民啊，齐聚一堂，品尝万家年味。
As the festivities of the Chinese New Year begin, 2 Beijing journalists head to Wuhan to cover a story about a new type of pneumonia. The first to travel is Yang Jun.
I am an investigative journalist. It's the morning of January 19th, when my boss calls me about the virus outbreak in Wuhan.
Most Chinese people are traveling to their hometowns to celebrate. Days later, Chen Wei took her flight to Wuhan.
People are busy preparing for Chinese New Year. There are lots of people in Beijing airport. Many booked their flights in advance and couldn't change last minute.
Yang Jun and Chen Wei are not the journalists' real names. Their reporting was censored by the Chinese government. Their videos and notes were smuggled from China and obtained by Al Jazeera's investigative unit and have never been shown before. Their stories begin 3 days before lockdown.
My name is Yang Jun. I am an investigative journalist from Beijing. I am told to go to Wuhan to get more information about the virus. The real number of infections, the hospital situation there, and the origins of the virus. On the train, some people have not heard any news about it. Passengers are not wearing masks.
My name is Chen Wei. I'm a journalist from Beijing. Wuhan authorities first announced an infected case at the end of December 2019. Like most people, I had no idea about the virus and thought it was the common flu.
Information about the outbreak is hidden in secrecy and very difficult to get.
Yang and Chen's identities are concealed for their safety. Their reports are read by actors.
In the last 2 or 3 days, the Wuhan Health Committee has been reporting continuous rising numbers of infected cases. This shows that the virus has spread.
In China, cases of infection are detected outside of Wuhan. 3 patients are confirmed in Guangdong and Beijing.
Now, 武汉发生的新型冠状病毒感染性的肺炎是一起突发的公共卫生事件。
Wuhan health authorities said that the few cases of infected patients all worked and lived inside Wuhan's Huanan seafood market.
Yang's plan is to investigate the origins of the virus in the seafood market.
When I arrive, people seem to have no fear or concern about the virus at all. On the way to my hotel, the taxi driver says he saw the news. It said there are very few cases of infected patients. The driver says the experts also announced that the virus would not pass from human to human, so no need to worry about that.
新型冠状病毒的传染力不强，不排除 有限人传人的可能，但持续人传人的风险较低。
There is a pedestrian street next to my hotel. The night bazaar is so crowded, and most people are not worried. I'm wearing a mask, and I'm getting strange looks from the crowd. A stall owner asks me to take it off. He says, "You are obviously an overworried outsider. Everything is fine here. You should not believe in those online rumors."
Already, social media was reporting the disease with much more information than official sources.
After hearing this, I almost begin to disbelieve my own judgment. They have no idea what's going on or how bad it is. They've been kept in the dark.
Yang realizes the virus is serious, but he can't imagine that everything will change in 3 days. Yang gets a taxi to Huanan Market and records a discussion with the driver.
也不知道出了大事，哎呀，真是太吓人了。他有什么症状？这个肺炎主要是高烧不退，这明显。
但他有普通感冒，他就是可能有死亡的这种几率吧。但又比非典要稍微要。
来的那么迅猛，那么厉害，是吧？比非典，就是说造成的老百姓的伤亡的情况下，还是没有非典来的那么快。但是，我估计那可能就是死亡的案例，可能就是因为还是个人体质原因。哎呀，真是，这疾病这玩意儿真是说不准，又是天灾啊，还是人祸？北京也有。 这个不光局限于武汉市，就是说，
对，
但它起源是在武汉市，
对，
华南海鲜市场。
以前那个海鲜市场上卖什么的？
什么生蚝啊、扇贝呀、鸡尾虾呀、花甲呀，什么鱼啊，这些乱七八糟的东西。
Yang wonders if there is truth in the theory that the virus came from wild animals sold at the market.
你不排除有人偷着卖野味，死的那种。
The driver parks his car in front of the market entrance. The market is sealed off with police tape and red barricades. I start chatting with some people gathering around the entrance of the market. There are shop owners who have some stuff left behind inside the market. But the police stop them from gathering their things.
我那个记者，我过来看。记者，你问记者啊，你问。我的小朋友这个还。
They say they haven't heard anything about the virus.
美女多好，直接去上面问，上面清楚一点，知道吧？因为我。
There are police vehicles parked across the market, and a CCTV camera pointed at the entrance.
Within minutes, he's asked to stop filming.
我问一下，这个是什么时候关的？
你是什么？
关了。
记得。
不，别动，别乱动啊，别乱动。这个工作知道吧？
我们有权查你的这个。
你们是警方还是哪里啊？
不是，你把相机先关了。
不是，你不能，这个是工作，知道吗？这也不是说闯哪儿。
把能力员工带进来，知道吧？不让一个人。
证件。
等一下，我给你。
都是进来的。
先查到证件，不是证件，我们就把你叫去。
真的假的？真的呀？还有假的呀？怎么玩？
你找那个准备过来，
公安过来。
准备过来，让你进来，你都警察。
走吧。行。
His ID is taken to the Public Security Bureau. It has agents that enforce social order across China.
指挥部在哪儿啊？我叫你们领导过来一下，好吧？我要查一个证件，看这个证件是真的假的。
They take me to a police vehicle on location.
Yang is held for over an hour.
他那个拿我证件不知道跑哪去了，不会。
在这里证据不
核酸身份对吧？我也在想那个多方便。
行吧。
The police are detaining me illegally and restricting my freedom.
我下去一趟，我找他去，我跟他沟通一下，
坐着就完了。
不是为什么把我扣在这儿？
现在这坐着，等一下。
好，我马上。
赶紧的。
My legal rights mean nothing to them.
好吧。你为什么把我扣在这儿？我就想问。
就是坐着就完了。
为什么把我扣在这里？就很简单，这个话题。我现在就不
让你走，怎么了？
不是你不能这样，人民警察你这个。 哪能这样呢？你们，就你们这样人不恐慌才怪，真的。
In the beginning, I was only planning to do normal filming and speak to shop owners to find out the truth. But after being stopped and detained by the police, I have no choice but to film in secret. To protect my own safety and my legal rights as a journalist.
你要查身份，你当着我面查呗，那我证件下去。 我下去找他，好吗？同志，为什么？你得告诉我为什么？
你等他上来不就完了吗？
不是他拿我的证件下去，哪有拿人家的身份证件或者说那些带有身份证号的下去了，一溜烟不在了。
放心，警察他哪里那么……
这都。
The police tell Yang that Huanan market is now under government control. No one can enter, and they want to see his pictures.
你照的照片可以给我们看一下吗？
那这个不行，
那你就走不了。
不是，你什么意思？
你拍的照片我们要看一下
啊，
看一下确定你是拍的那里内容，我们宣传部的要核实。
我会去你们宣传部，明白吗？我会去那个宣传部。
你没有去之前。
A woman claims to be from the Wuhan government, but doesn't identify herself.
不是，你是怎么称呼？对不对？
现在是这样，这个地方属于是管控区。管控区这块，你来采访的这块。
我还没采访呢，我就是在那拍的是外景。
下来拍照也好，怎么样也好，因为你是那个不是我们武汉的记者，需要从那个有工作函过来。 你知道吗？
带了没有？
哎，要有工作函过来。
你看一下新闻记者采访，谁到哪都能，哪有什么明文规定说一定要带什么采访函的？
您不是武汉市的，您是我们。
我会去，对，我知道，我会跟咱们这边宣传系统去沟通。
对，那您要先。
这个没问题，要发函。
作为记者也有这个职责，所以也有这个是吧？也有社会责任，所以这个不光是对大家好，也是对您本人好。所以您过来要拍照要怎么样也好，要有这个工作程序。就是您刚才也说了，您要到省里去或者市里去，您要把这个工作函要办好，您再过来，好不好
？Before he leaves, they want to check his camera.
你不能扣我任何东西，明白吗？我先把
你拍的东西我们要看一下。
您说的很明确了，
对吧？这上面有要求。
我也理解你们，你们也得对吧？大家都是工作，都不容易。
哎，对。
就这样一个。哎，你们这个相机不能离我手，这个大家理解，好吧？
啊，你这不放心。
就这个，没了。
He shows them the photos, but continues filming with his phone.
看到吗？
还有没有？
没了。然后。 我还有一段就是这个，但这个也是一样的那种，都没什么区别。
好。
我刚才
手机里面拍了没有？
手机没有。
你这反都把它返回，还有没有？片段。
其他的没有。就这几个。
你进去过没有？
我没进去啊，我刚到那儿就被你们人给弄过来了。
没收。 这个是对你自己负责，
我知道，
这个群体负责，对了吧？手机拍了没有？就是相机拍了。
手机没拍。
哦。
Yang slips his phone into a pocket. He deflects the attention of the officers.
手机没拍，要不我会到那个宣传部这边去，知道吧？我都理解这工作，但是呢，就是大家都是现在这个闹得也那么大，对吧？我们也想就是说，也是为老百姓答疑解惑的，啊，也就是我会按照我的程序去走，明白吗？
能够理解这个，我们尽量还是以官方的这样的一个发布为准，好不好？
那我们现在都是以官方的发布。
对呀，是呀。
现在官方也在发布吧，每天都在发布，是不是？
好不好？
您怎么称呼啊？您是哪个部门，或者说？
您不用管那个。
不，这个大家都得了解，因为你看嘛，你也看了我这些身份信息，对吧？
这个因为这个地方是管控区，我们都要按照管控区的这个管理来，是对您负责。你看，您也戴着口罩。你也知道这个？
这我知道，大家都知道。
现在
怎么称呼
？12点钟了。
The security officers refuse to identify themselves.
身份证号别给我发出去啊！因为我在这儿，说实话，咱们国内媒体也不是说乱搞事儿，你们也不要多想。
好。
因为这一次来，
我们欢迎，我们去记者，我们都会接待，就是您按程序来，这样我们也好工作。
As I leave the market, the security officers are following and tracking me. I feel powerless. I go to the government publicity department to demand my rights to report. They tell me that I do have the right to report in Wuhan and no one should stop me. But the reality is not the same.
Many Wuhan residents remain relaxed.
当年非典时候都不怕，我跟你说，当年非典那年，那个全国各地的餐饮业都是一片萧条嘛，都没人出来吃饭什么的。武汉大街小巷的酒楼酒店正常爆满。武汉人他怎么说呢？他怎么属于那种神经比较大条的那种感觉。
Chen Wei is still in Beijing, where information is scarce. But news breaks that the virus is spreading.
I mainly rely on the Chinese media reports. As more and more cases are confirmed, the government takes steps to control the disease.
目前，日本、泰国、韩国已经向中方通报了新型冠状病毒感染确诊病例的情况。可以告诉你的是，目前武汉的地方政府已经采取了出境离汉人员管控措施。
Yang's next task is to find out how Wuhan's hospitals are coping.
I'm trying to find out how the main hospital is taking in and treating infected patients.
Yang fears he will be turned away if he identifies himself as a journalist. He pretends he has a fever to enter the hospital.
有什么事？
就是感觉有点热度，你说挂个门诊。
发烧吗？
对。
哎呀，你发烧，你就在分诊台内。
I'm sent to an isolated zone for patients with fever, separate from the rest of the hospital. I think it's for screening patients infected with the coronavirus.
In the waiting area, Yang overhears a doctor speaking to a patient. She has been ill for 10 days.
否则，因为这里都是确诊的，那传染性相对会大很多。那么你在这里，如果你没有确诊，交叉感染，这是不行的。我虽然看着片子像有肺部感染，然后其他检查结果可以参考，但是我不能确诊，因为我没有权利确诊。
Suspected patients are sent for further testing. Only then is an infected patient eligible for the isolation treatment at the hospital. This arrangement means all patients and staff are exposed to the virus.
He walks around the hospital grounds, but can't get into the isolation ward.
The building with infected patients is closed off. Ambulances are bringing in more cases.
The next location on his list is Wuhan Union Hospital. Again, he pretends to have symptoms. He's asked to register.
你也烧吗？你烧几天？
早上刚开始的，37度4。
咳不咳嗽？
咳嗽。
吃药没呢？
还没有。
They're screening patients with basic questions.
你这口罩是 N95的吗？
我不知道，这是别人给我的。
哎，你这口罩是谁给你的？
家里人给我的，我也不知道这是什么。
这可以。你要再。
Only 1 week earlier, the mysterious disease was named COVID-19.
有没有接触过那个发热咳嗽的病人？
接触过。
接触过就要写有。
啊。
接触过就要写有。
他没有确诊。
The testing center is a short walk away.
There are so many Wuhan residents queuing to get tested for the virus. They need to make an appointment just to wait in line.
哦，这肺部影像都照过了。
对。
有没有问题？有没有什么感染啥的？没吧？
他说呀，他那边看不好，让看一下呼吸科或者发热门诊。
啊。
他说人多也不好看。
但是症状上是没有发烧，对吧？
对，没有发烧。
那可能就没事儿，不是那个病。
太平见过。
Because there are so many people waiting for tests and checking into the hospital, it is a long, long wait.
对的。
是的，昨天晚上那个微信上就讲了干照，说要带那种口罩。这次没让喝
Wuhan residents are reporting that hospitals are unable to cope. In the evening, the doctor who led Beijing's coronavirus crisis team makes an announcement that changes everything.
现在是目前的这个资料表示呢，它是肯定的有人传人，一个在武汉是有这样的肯定的一些证据。
For Yang, the news is devastating.
People now realize how important it is to protect themselves. After the doctor's confirmation, the whole city becomes nervous. Everything changes drastically overnight.
"现在是目前的这个资料表示呢，它是肯定的有人传人，一个在武汉是有这样的肯定的一些证据。
Locals are wearing masks and looking very anxious. Also, very few people are out on the streets after the news came out. The whole street looks deadly cold.
While most cases are in Wuhan, new infections are reported in provinces across China. In Beijing, Chen Wei's life is about to change.
My supervisor calls urgently, asking me to go to Wuhan immediately. When I get off the plane at Wuhan airport, the staff are disinfecting at the exits and checking passenger temperatures. It is very intense.
目前武汉地方政府已经对出入武汉的人员加强了管控。我理解是在他们离开和进入的时候，可能要对他们进行一些检查。
All the travelers are wearing masks. Everyone seems to be talking about the virus outbreak. I see faces filled with fear and worry. The station has installed infrared monitors. They've started taking temperatures at the station entrances. Only passengers with normal temperatures are allowed inside. Those with fever are taken away by station personnel to do further checks.
I take a taxi to my hotel. The driver talks about the virus. He tells me many cases were discovered in the past 2 days. In the streets, almost everyone is wearing a mask. Some people in Wuhan are very worried, and they're starting to leave. I learned that many residents are warning their relatives and friends not to go back. Now, the city is in panic.
I feel that people were worry-free at first, as if nothing was happening. They are becoming nervous, fearful, and feeling powerless and lost.
On social media, there are suggestions that the number of cases are underreported.
4点到6点钟送东西，过来那个店都不送东西了，放到那里，放到这里，就放这里。
Outside Jinyintang Hospital, families are waiting with food parcels for infected patients.
好呀。哎，每天都有人在这儿接东西。
是4点到6点。
4点到6点。
到6点钟就没人送了。
把名字写上是吧？
他在哪个病房就是把哪个床号把名字写上去，然后。
每日4点到6点是吧？
有没有这个？你们自己有没有这个？
我们还人太多了。
你们没有进去过？
那才哪个进得去？
没得死的就赶紧离开。
Yang goes back to Huanan seafood market. He hoped this time he can find out more.
Once I start filming, I'm told to stop, and I'm taken to a police vehicle.
在华南市场东门东区，记者要过来要过来就是拍一些那个防控的一些措施，让他们能拍，我们问一下指示啊的。
The police tell Yang they cannot let anyone in or any goods out.
我们就是什么呢？就是有些东西你那个源头还没查出来，你有些东西不能拿出去。
哦，那个是。
你万一拿出去了，万一他的源头在这儿呢，把别人害死了。
证实了有医务人员的感染，有新型冠状病毒感染的一个病人，因为护理啊各方面，所以有14个这个医务人员的感染。
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S. A Washington state resident fell ill after returning from Wuhan, China, where the outbreak began.
The office in Beijing calls. Yang says he hasn't got very far in finding the source of the virus.
找不到他这个第一起这个，而且这个官方把这消息封锁太死了，都图呢。哎呀。
Yang is told by his boss to stay in line.
My boss instructed me not to do any investigations of my own. Everything should strictly follow the official party line. Any stories of the virus which are not in favor of the government must be approved by the party.
Chen Wei also begins her investigation in food markets. She's heard that it's hard to gather information about the virus.
My focus is undercover filming for my investigation. I was sent here to look into the wildlife trade in Wuhan. Dr. Chongnan Chan said the new coronavirus probably originated from eating wild animals.
它实际上，这个通过野生动物啊，这个传到人呢，这个是比较大的可能。
这玩意儿，有野猪肉吗？
野猪肉没有，
没有，市场里面。
市场整个没有。
Chen Wei pretends to be a restaurant owner seeking wild animals, which are considered a delicacy for a New Year's feast.
那野猪肉早就关门了，那不让开了，里面没看到那里面门面都关了，那就卖野味。
现在还有丰盛，
现在肺炎多厉害啊！人家还让。
也就有。
太厉害了。
而且这话是。
现在吃猪肉啥野猪肉？野鸡。
它的野鸡啊，什么蛇啊，什么之类的。
它的源头是什么动物？现在基本上还不清楚。 啊，只是从各方面的流行病学的调查的话，它是来自一个野生动物，啊，那么可能性比较大呢，比如说像竹鼠啊、獾呐这类的这些。
有野鸡、野猪肉啥的吗？
没有，
没有。
关门了。这比如门的工厂的门都给他那么业，我就给你，这3家都门都给封上，
是吧？
昨天都给他封了，钓鱼的话，我现在是钓鱼的，平常是能卖。
The shop owners say the expert is wrong. They have been eating wild animals for so many years without any problems.
Yang is going back to Huanan market for the 3rd time. Along the way, he notices more people wearing face masks.
就是昨天这个多，因为昨天在新闻才证实，前天吧，才证实是已经
人传人这个，
人传人呐，医生都传的话，医护人员都传了15个了，说明疫情很严重啊。再要求啊，就是要带呀。 要预防啊，原来都没怎么要求啊。
Yang has obtained permission to film from the government publicity department.
I am confident that I will be able to report this time. It is January 22nd, and I'm at Huanan Seafood Market, South Entrance. That is the office. Today, everyone is wearing masks. We see there's a police car here. It's an on-site command unit. The atmosphere is so intense. A lot of plainclothes police and uniformed security personnel are around the market. And if we zoom in, we can see officers working in there. It has been sealed off. No one is allowed in.
他是处在我们现在看到有工作人员过来。啊？没有拍照。他说辛苦，其他说通过。昨天我来过了，我今天跟他们说我来过，要不我过去一下。
Even though I tell the market staff and police that I have permission from the government publicity department, they still stop me from filming. What they're doing is against Chinese law.
我们现在还没接通。我跟那个市委宣传部那边说过了，就过来拍一些空镜。可以拍吗？不让市民拍照。
我很好，现在通知你不要再拍照。
不是，
把他关了。
我去那个。
把他关了他。
先关了再说，先关了再说。
你不能这样，这是公职行为。现在。
5 police officers surround me and block my camera.
我还是那个。
我没接到通知。我不能给他拍照。
是不是？这公职行为啊。
我没接到通知。
没接到。那我在这里，这是很正常，这是一个公共场合呀。不是你不能这样，你不能这样。
我们第一。
你说。
你把他关了他。
你说嘛，我没拍你。
你关了他。
我没拍你。
关了他。
By now, 15 provinces across China are affected.
昨天才通知，前天才新闻才大放出来说明。以前是哎呀没事，人不传人。
也没想到会这样。
先没报了，报的，就是那又少，不传染。这怕么子呢？只要做好预防工作，是不是？按照政府的搞，该怎么弄怎么弄。 每消毒一消毒，每天搞3次，还可以切断它传染。
The World Health Organization cannot decide if the outbreak is an international public health emergency.
The views of the members of the committee, considering the information provided, was split.
Obviously, you need to take it seriously, but this is not a major threat for the people in the United States, and this is not something that the citizens of the United States right now should be worried about.
We are now at the Wuhan Medical Treatment Center, also known as Jinyintan. This hospital is now solely designated for the treatment of COVID-19 cases.
Despite obtaining permission to film, he is again prevented from entering. A woman with elderly relatives is also waiting at the gates.
然后现在已经查出就是冠状病。这个你要。我现在没办法，他走路都走不了了。你先。
The hospital won't let Mei Ling's 78-year-old grandfather in.
他给了我们那个保证说叫其他的医院。
啊，不是，那老太太，这个国家真是。
这边没住满吧？
推了2天了，好不好？还推？
哪推的呀？我们现在在现场看到有这个患者和。
Mei Ling tells me her grandfather was tested at the Wuhan Central Hospital. The hospital said there were no more beds left and asked her to bring her grandfather here for inpatient treatment.
我早起要死，知道吗？烦死了，简直了！推了2遍，你搞2天，急死！
再给他多戴一个口罩。
我打了110，他都没那个。
那个还听着嘛，还听着嘛。
前2天要打电话都没人接，在这边，手心都是麻的。
是啥时候发现的呀？
A guard returns to say they need a document before her granddad is allowed in.
不去，他说我就要去要问你，要问不需要，他说你直接来就完了。
直接来，我这里他妈的那个东西他不接噻。
我跟他讲噻，你跟他要我跟他讲说，不管什么多少飞机来不可的，因为我医院里已经跟我说了证明了。我刚才跟他讲，我说的转院，他说不转院，他能直接讲，让我自己过来。
你们是从中心。
Again, they are told to wait. Mei Ling wonders if Yang has any influence.
你是哪里？就是武汉的。
北京的。
She turns to the guard.
你非要别个记者非把他说的好，这个虚不接，何必的？
但是他们领导又往回出来。
他真的年纪，他真的不是。
Yang asks the guards to help.
要不安排他在旁边等一下吧，这是那个通道。
我们是这个我们还是等一下吧。
都等，不能等死啊，等。
The guard tells Yang to stop filming. He again says he has permission.
那边医院让到这边来吗？哎，不能，哎，别误会，那个，这个场所我们也是，是吧？哎，不能。那个大哥，你理解，这是都是公职行为。
都是的，公职行为，我们这边有明文规定，不通过我们文序，任何登报纸。
理解这个，我们也是。
不要说是你们这个报纸的。
我们也是那个通过市委过来的，你理解，好吧？
Mei Ling shows the guard her grandfather's medical records.
我才打你过来，我打你过去，然后再把人拖过来，是不要把这个。这边解决的方式咋样？
你跟我说不能用，我不是管这个。那我找他们去吧。
我别你搞个车子过来，把个车子过来。
我们这里不接纳人家，你懂不懂？我跟你说了半天了。
The family start complaining to me.
不是，都是按工作来，按工作。
不能把我们是为了工作是吧？你等一下家里。
我们也是工作嘛，对吧？
领导已经发话了，你
啊，他来了吗？他来吗？
他现在忙还不用过来。
The family is trying to tell me more about their situation. 2 officers keep us apart.
要是通过官方来，都是从官方转过来的。不是那个病人随便来，我们不接收。
送过来，
懂了意思吗？
然后我们就是必须得通过120，对吧？
大家过来的话，就是2个都接收了，我们这已经，我们已经不得外。
全部是对这个的，
全部是有公德公的。
它都是有一个正常的渠道把它送进来的。
啊，这个理解，就是必须得通过120哦。
你单独过来以后，这个
我们不是来采访这个。对，我们不是来采访这个。我就是想去党办。说白了，我可以去找党办吗？
现在？
啊？那这么等吧。你说。
他现在挺忙的，快出来的。
你把我带去党办，他们就不会拉住。
你这是他害我能别这个传掉，我放你身上吗？
兄弟想多了，
你想多了。你看，理解我的工作。等一下。不，
哎，女士，我拍你，你不介意吧？
哎，人家工作人员在这里。
不是，没拍到工作人员，没拍到。
来。
Yang is soon unable to record anymore.
It is so crazy that they're using violence to stop me from talking to the family. They snatch away my camera. They force me into a security office and say that I am breaking the anti-infection law. The lack of medical staff and equipment in Wuhan is causing many infected patients to be denied treatment. It's a joke, and the hospitals are hiding the truth.
In the early hours of the morning, an announcement that will shock the outside world.
I work till midnight. I'm about to sleep at 2 a.m. when the Wuhan government announces a citywide lockdown.
Most people are already sleeping. They didn't see this coming.
My boss calls me and tells me that they will be closing the city. He tells me to leave now. He's worried about my safety. I suddenly realize how serious the matter is. I sit on the bed sweating and feel my heart beating so loud.
My boss tells me to evacuate Wuhan and go back to Beijing. My first thought is the pandemic must be out of control and will get more and more serious.
She decides to remain.
I want to stay in Wuhan to record and report the development of this virus.
I immediately buy tickets to Beijing. I leave the hotel at 4:30 in the morning. We know that the city will shut down at 10 a.m. I see so many taxis and cars heading for the train station and airport.
The hashtag fleeing Wuhan is trending.
Like me, all these people are fleeing Wuhan because of the lockdown in a few hours.
Panic spreads quickly all over the city. Fear of the virus reaches a climax.
I arrive at the station at 6 a.m., and there are so many people here. More and more are still coming.
Some take anti-fever medication to pass through scanners.
Some young women are trying to get a ticket out of the city. They are yelling at the station staff, "Just get me any ticket to leave now. Anywhere is fine, as long as we can get out of Wuhan." The news of a lockdown means the virus is already out of control.
At 10 a.m., Wuhan is in lockdown. All public transport shut down and taxi stop service.
无特殊原因，市民不要离开武汉。机场、火车站、离汉通道暂时关闭。
I ended up staying for over 80 days.
It has not yet become a global health emergency. It may yet become one.
Are there words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China. It's going to be just fine.
People start panic buying and stockpiling. I talked to nurses and doctors in the isolation wards.
During lockdown, Chen is only allowed to film with government approval.
The controls get tougher. I cannot get any real updates because of the restrictions.
I can't report with freedom as long as the government institutions are involved. I'm constantly followed and spied on.
I think there are many more infected patients in Wuhan than the number of confirmed cases. The official number is a fake number, far from the truth. The death of so many Wuhan residents infected with COVID-19, the hopelessness of suffering without medical help, all these never leave my mind.
请大家有需要，请大家有需要，请大家有需要，